Imagine a city so desperate to survive that it traded away the one thing that made it human. A city that looked alive from the outside, but inside, its heart no longer beat. This is the forgotten story of a place that sold its soul just to stay alive. What began as hope turned into horror, and what it became still haunts the world today. Stay with me until the end, and you will see how far humanity can go when survival becomes more important than its soul. If stories like this make you wonder about the hidden truths of our world, make sure to subscribe because this one will change how you see life itself. There was once a city built on dreams. It stood beside a vast river, surrounded by mountains that glowed gold at sunset. Its people believed they were chosen, destined to build a paradise on earth. The city was called Elyndor, a place of beauty, music, and endless celebration. But nothing perfect lasts forever. One year, the river stopped flowing. The earth around the city began to dry. Crops withered in the fields, and the mountains that once protected them turned cold and lifeless. The people believed the gods had abandoned them. Priests offered prayers, leaders offered promises, but nothing changed. Then came the sickness. It moved like a shadow through the streets. Children stopped laughing. Families locked themselves inside their homes. The once busy markets turned silent. In just 1 month, thousands were gone. The rulers of Elyndor gathered in secret beneath the grand temple. Their faces were pale with fear. They were not thinking of faith anymore. They were thinking of survival. The High Lord spoke softly. "If the gods have turned away, then we must find another power." That was the moment the city began to fall. The council called upon a man few dared to speak to. A wanderer who came from the northern deserts. He was called the Seer Without Eyes. His face was covered with a silver cloth, and his voice sounded like many voices speaking at once. He promised them life, but warned that life always comes with a cost. He said, "I can make your city live again. The water will flow, the people will rise, but something must be given in return, something the city holds most dear." The rulers agreed without question. They had already buried too many. They told him to take whatever he needed. That night, a storm rose from nowhere. The ground shook. The sky turned red. From the riverbed, black water began to rise, thick and cold. When dawn came, the city was alive again. The crops grew overnight. The sick opened their eyes. The people fell to their knees, thanking the heavens, not knowing the heavens had nothing to do with it. For a time, life returned to normal. But slowly, strange things began to happen. People started forgetting their dreams. Music lost its warmth. The sound of laughter faded into whispers. Faces looked the same, but something behind their eyes was gone. The city was alive, yes, but it no longer had a soul. Years passed. Elyndor grew richer than before. Its towers touched the clouds. Its lights never went dark. But beneath the beauty, the people moved like shadows. They worked, they ate, they spoke, but none of it felt real. Children were born without emotion. Lovers no longer felt love. The city no longer mourned or celebrated. There was no joy, no sadness, only silence dressed as life. A few who remembered the old days whispered among themselves, saying the seer had stolen something from them, something they could never get back. But those who spoke too loudly vanished without a trace. Deep under the temple, a heart of black stone pulsed. It was said to be the soul of the city, the very thing traded away for survival. It beat once every night, echoing through the ground like a silent warning. And each time it beat, another memory faded from someone's mind. The city that had once been filled with laughter now echoed with the hollow sound of its own heartbeat. Many generations later, no one remembered the story of the bargain. Elyndor had become a shining empire. Its people did not die young. There was no hunger, no war, no pain. But there was also no feeling. The world outside had turned to dust, but Elyndor remained untouched. Travelers who found the city said it was beautiful beyond words, yet something about it felt wrong, like a painting that was too perfect to be real. One day, a child was born who could dream. His name was Aaron. He was the first in centuries to cry, to laugh, to feel. His parents were terrified. The city called him cursed. But deep inside, some people began to feel something they had forgotten long ago. Hope. Aaron grew up hearing whispers of the city's secret. He learned about the night the storm came and about the seer without eyes. He learned that Elyndor's life came from a dark promise, and so he made a choice. He would go beneath the temple and find what the city had lost. When night came, he entered the tunnels under the temple. The air was cold and thick, like breathing through water. He followed the sound of a distant heartbeat until he found the chamber. There, standing before him, was the black stone, glowing faintly like dying fire. The seer without eyes stood beside it, unchanged, waiting. Aaron asked, "What is this place?" The seer replied, "This is where your city's soul sleeps. It has slept for 1,000 years so that you could live without pain." "But we do not live," Aaron said. "We only exist." The seer was silent. Then he asked, "Do you wish to wake the soul? If you do, the city will fall. Its people will remember pain, hunger, and death, but they will also remember love, laughter, and hope. Do you think your people are ready for that?" Aaron looked into the stone and saw faces, millions of them, trapped in silence. He saw the beauty of the city above, but also its emptiness. He knew what he had to do. He placed his hand on the stone. It began to crack. Light poured out. The ground shook. The towers above began to crumble. People screamed as they felt emotions flood back into their hearts for the first time in ages. Joy, sorrow, fear, wonder. The seer cried out, "You do not understand what you have done." But Aaron whispered, "I have given the city back its soul." When the light faded, Elyndor was gone. The grand towers were broken, the streets were covered in dust. But among the ruins, people knelt and wept, not from despair, but from feeling. For the first time in hundreds of years, they were human again. The seer without eyes vanished into the wind, leaving only his final words echoing in the air. Every city must choose to live without a soul, or to die as something real. The river began to flow again. Trees grew along its banks. Children played in the water. The world outside slowly found its way back. Elyndor, the city that once sold its soul to stay alive, became a story whispered by travelers, a warning carved into memory. Some say the soul of the city still drifts through the wind, searching for those who forget what it means to be alive. And if you ever feel your heart grow cold, remember this story. Because every time humanity trades its soul for comfort, it risks becoming another Elyndor. If this story made you feel something, hope, sadness, or even wonder, then do not forget to subscribe. There are more forgotten truths waiting to be told. Stories that remind us that being alive means more than just surviving.